Today, we want to learn a table. The press release will come out from the Judiciary of Sierra Leone. We say that case against the state versus the former Minister of Labor when I am the basic and senior secondary school education, Honorable Alpha Usman Timbo, and 4 other people, they don't discharge that case. They don't pull and come out in a court. Now that day we want to come lay in a table. Make we see why the court get for pull that case day after all waiting anti-corruption promise we. See they don't fail not inside this case. We for make this particular case all water. But before that, make we look into the COVID-19 update for today. Today is 16th day of July 2020. 147 tests was conducted. 147 tests was conducted. Out of this 147 tests, 10 turn out to be positive. 10 turn out to be positive. And if we break this 10 by district, Western Area Urban, 5. Western Area Rural, 1. And Banff District, 4. So now, 3 districts them get positive cases for the past 24 hours, and then they give 10 positive cases na Salone. Now let's go to the rest of the numbers then for coronavirus na Salone. The number of cumulative confirmed positive cases they reach now 1,678. 1,678. The total number of deaths still stand at 64. 64. Because for the past 24 hours, we not get nobody we lost in life to COVID-19 na Salone. The people within an isolation center now, where they receive treatment, now 401. 401 people in an isolation center where they receive treatment. For the past 24 hours, we get 10 people we don't recover from coronavirus na Salone. 10 people for the past 24 hours. And now we get a cumulative number of 1,213. 1,213 people now they don't beat coronavirus na Salone. The number of people we the inside quarantine right now na 1,059. 1,059. The number of people we don't discharge from quarantine na 8,506. 8,506. Remember, the active case search is still on. And from where they begin conduct tests na Salone to date, 14,964 tests has been conducted. 14,964. On the 30th of July, the active case search starts. Then we say 380 people. However, let me tell we say the target now 400 people in the western area. 400 people. Today, how many people in conduct ba? 147. Yesterday, now be 195. So we're not even half off. And the 400, not just for the active case search. And we promise for the GUI weekly update how the active case search don't go. Well, today, Then say from now to next Wednesday. From now to next Wednesday, we're going to expect the active case search in force detailed report. That one they go don't care, we go to 3 weeks where we do on them, where we not get no report. Even though they tell we say they go to do on weekly. Then from now to Wednesday, after they give you that first detailed report, then they go tell we next. We then go give you the updates for the active case search. So we are waiting. They say not so easy work. So then they take their time because they want to give you everything correct. And so we say for the take time we wait for make them count with the active case search number. But remember, if you did salon, if you work around at the special court building and say you want for make them test you, they will test you. If you then have return. So if you feel say you want for make them test you, you get the opportunity. If you did return for Wakago na special court building and ask them say you want me then test you, then go test you. Well, that's not for the coronavirus for today. We come into our program proper. As I've been said earlier in the intro, say anti-corruption, they say, so you key business play by the Chinese race, where them big government of Sierra Leone for help with the school feeding program. But for one reason, they want them for benefit from that race day, not been benefit. And so, anti-corruption began for knock chest say, una know it in, we not afraid nobody. So because we're not afraid person, I like it in at this government or not in at this government, since people and they say anti-corruption are witch hunts, then they want for sure say they're not any witch hunt. And so because of that, they knock them chest, then show we say, even with a sitting minister, they're able for bring and condom if they feel say it mix by any corrupt practice. And that exactly that they then be do at that time. But today, the Judiciary of the Republic of Sierra Leone issue a certificate of discharge. The case against the state versus Alpha Usman Timbo, Emele Kadiatu Grogra, Charles T. Commander, Mamusu Masakoy, and Zainab Binta Kamara. The Wala no say this particular case, they don't discharge and they don't throw him. Well, make we hear you waiting until we know, yeah? Then, in case you want forget, on that particular day, where the commissioner, Francis Ben Kefala, they address the public when they announce the indictment, we go play with him, he say, make we refresh we minds them back. But for now, this now waiting the Judiciary of the Republic of Sierra Leone certificate of discharge being say. Anyone for hereby certify say Alpha Usman Timbo, Emele Kadiatu Gogra, Charles T. Commander, Mamusu Masakoy, and Zainab Binta Kamara, they charge them with them beget with the following offense. Count 1. Not to be picking count them, but count 1. Misappropriation of public property contrary to Section 36(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act number 12 of 2008 as amended by the Anti-Corruption Amendment Act number 9 of 2019. That are the first count. You know it's in, since we can't play Usai, the commissioner, in self be outline all the 15 counts them. Well, make we know read them now again. But inside this discharge notice, all that one I read so na count 1. All the counts them, the Judiciary of Sierra Leone state them. Then the final paragraph say, on Thursday, the 16th day of July 2020, Alpha Usman Timbo, Emily Kadiatu Gogra, Charles T. Kamanda, Mamusu Masakoi, and Zainab Binta Kamara were discharged of all counts by the Honorable Miss Justice Cosmotina Jarrett J. on account of the prosecution offering no evidence against all accused persons. The prosecution then offer no evidence against them people here where I don't call so. The prosecution not offer any evidence. But on that day, there were evidence where the commissioner of anti-corruption be outlined to we. So waiting happen at court. Waiting happen now the anti-corruption, the press conference, and waiting happen at court. But the press conference, they say they get evidence. Now court, the judiciary say, on account of no evidence, then to go away the case. But sometimes, you be one forget how the commissioner be put this thing and make we all understand. Listen now to Francis Ben Kaifala as he be the address the nation on that day.
News, but I must say that the leadership of the country, particularly His Excellency the President, has done very well in terms of taking leadership in preparing us to ensure that we control whatsoever threatens our system, and right now the coronavirus is one of it. And that leadership is already yielding fruits, because if somebody was in quarantine and then discovered to have been infected, it's better than if the person was just out there. So we must thank His Excellency the President for taking that leadership, and it's an example to all of us to ensure that we all attack the coronaviruses that have attacked this country for generations with the same tenacity, the same vigilance, and the same preparedness. In that regard, Sierra Leone has been plagued with a serious coronavirus for generations and decades. It may not be the same coronavirus that comes from Wuhan in China, but this one has lived with us for generations, and that is corruption. So we at the ACC have a mandate to ensure that we do what is in our best capacity and possibilities and abilities to control corruption, because corruption, like coronavirus, threatens our survival, and we have to continue to take it seriously even in these very trying times. In that regard, ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, sometime in late November, we received information that rice that was donated by China to Sierra Leone was being repackaged in a warehouse in Waterloo and resold to the public. We went in, carried out our investigations as fairly as possible. We were able to arrest a lady called Zainab Binta Kamara, which was the index arrest, the arrest that created the link to determine what really happened with this rice. Our investigation was able to establish that indeed this rice was part of rice that was initially donated to the Ministry of Agriculture by the Chinese. After the donation of this rice by the Chinese government to the people of Sierra Leone, the government, in various cabinet discussions and meetings, decided that the rice should be sent to the Ministry of Education, for the Ministry of Education to apply it for school feeding projects, for the school feeding program, which is part of the free quality education, so that children can eat and be nutritious whilst they learn, and so that it removes the pressure from parents who cannot afford to give their children lunch, so that the children can be sufficiently nourished whilst they pursue the free quality education. Now, it turned out that despite this commitment, despite this directive that came from no less a person but His Excellency the President of Sierra Leone, who was very clear in cabinet, because we have the cabinet minutes, we have the cabinet conclusions and everything. The President made it very clear there that he did not want anybody in his government having to do anything with this rice, but the rice was supposed to be given to the partners of the Ministry of Basic Education, how do we call it?
Basic education.
Basic education, so that they can apply it to school feeding projects. But the Ministry of Basic Education already had partners, WFP, JAM, and other institutions that were responsible for carrying out the school feeding project as an auxiliary to the free quality education, which the Ministry of Education was already embarking on. Somehow down the line, after the transfer processes took place between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Education, the rice was now in the control of the Ministry of Education, Basic Education. And it turned out that the distribution system of this rice did not go according to what the President had directed in cabinet, to what was concluded in cabinet. As a matter of fact, the Ministry of Basic Education, which did not at the time, and I believe up to now, have the capacity to distribute this rice, to engage in school feeding program, the officials there decided on their own to distribute the rice. The distribution process itself was seriously flawed. The rice fell in the hands of the wrong people, who dealt with it in ways that are scandalous. You will find out, for example, that the permanent secretary, Mr. Commander, took this rice to Bond. After taking it there, instead of it, firstly, let's understand this. The rice, first of all, was not meant for the ministry to engage in school feeding program with it. But they did. Let's assume after they did, they could have done things properly as planned. Probably would not be here. But what happened after they decided to embark on taking this rice to the distribution places, or the places where they felt it should be taken, is even more problematic than we thought. So initially we did the preliminary investigations to understand what happened. We sent our team of investigators right across the country. There is no village that rice was supposed to be distributed There is no village that rice was to be distributed that we did not go to. We found out that in several places, the rice did not reach the destination that it was planned to go to. We also found out that there are even schools which were listed that were not supposed to have been listed because they do not exist. We found out that even some of the rice made their way to private schools which were not part of the free quality education program. We found out that the rice was distributed to councillors, people who had nothing to do with the teaching corps. Also, for even the schools that the rice reached, sometimes it was the teachers who distributed the rice amongst themselves and not the students who benefited from it. In more ways than one, we are sure that the proper things that were supposed to be done with this rice, as directed by the president, did not happen. As a result, after carrying out our investigation, we combed through piles of evidence. The reason why this investigation particularly took longer to complete is because we wanted to be sure of what happened. The evidence was huge. We spoke to hundreds of people across the country. The testimonies were many. The investigators were able to comb through them. Our lawyers have examined them. We have decided to take the following steps. One, we are going to indict those who believe were responsible for the decision making that led to the improper distribution of this rice, and sometimes misappropriation of it. We are also going to embark on a nationwide attempt at setting up systems to ensure that schools are capable of identifying proper channels through which benefits like this can reach them, and for them to apply it as best as possible for the intended beneficiaries without having the confusion that went with this rice. As a general note, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone does not want impunity to continue as it used to be before. So even in his government, he is ready to continue the campaign against corruption. And this, I must say, was not done taking into consideration anybody's tribe or region or where you come from, what language you speak. It did not consider what party you belong to. We practically just went after the evidence. Based on that, the ACC, I have proceeded to prefer indictment against the following persons. 1, Alpha Usman Timbo, Minister of Labor and former Minister of Education, who at the time of the distribution of this rice was Minister of Education. We have also preferred indictment against Madam Emily Kadiatu Gogra, who is the Deputy Minister. We have preferred indictment against Charles Tom Kamanda, who is the Permanent Secretary. We have also preferred indictment against Mamusu Masakoi, who was the head of nutrition, the director of nutrition in the Ministry of Basic and Senior Education. Lastly, we have preferred indictment against Zainab Binta Kamara, who was the initial person who was in fact responsible for us knowing that the rice has fallen into the wrong hands. In that regard, 15 counts indictments have been preferred. Alpha Usman Timbo, Kadiatu Gogra, Charles Tom Kamanda, and Mamusu Masakoi have been charged with misappropriation of public property contrary to Section 36(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act 2008, as amended. Also, Alpha Usman Timbo, Emily Gogra, Charles Tom Kamanda have been charged with willfully failing to comply with applicable procedures and guidelines relating to the allocation of property contrary to Section 48(2)(b) of the Anti-Corruption Act number 12 of 2008, as amended. Also, Alpha Usman Timbo, Emily Kadiatu Gogra, and Charles Tom Kamanda have been charged with conspiracy to commit a corruption offense contrary to Section 128 of the Anti-Corruption Act. We have also preferred indictment against Zainab Binta Kamara on count 4 for converting property knowing such property to be the proceeds of corruption for the purpose of disguising the illicit origin of such property. In count 5, we have charged Zainab Binta Kamara again with concealing the true nature of property, which is the proceeds of corruption, contrary to Section 52 of the Anti-Corruption Act. In count 6, we have charged again Zainab Binta Kamara of possessing property knowing the same to be the proceeds of corruption, contrary to Section 52(1)(c) of the Anti-Corruption Act of 2008. In count 7, we have charged against Zainab Binta Kamara for conspiracy to commit a corruption offense contrary to Section 128 of the Anti-Corruption Act 2008. In count 8, we have charged against Zainab Binta Kamara of misappropriation of public property contrary to Section 36(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act 2008. In count 9, we have charged Mamusu Masakwe and Zainab Binta Kamara of conspiracy to commit a corruption offense contrary to Section 128 of the Anti-Corruption Act number 8 of 2012. In count 10, we have charged Alpha Usman Timbo of abuse of office contrary to Section 42(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act number 12 of 2008. In count 11, we've charged Emily Kadiatu Gogra of abuse of office contrary to Section 42(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act number 12 of 2008. In count 12, we've charged Charles Tom Commander of abuse of office contrary to Section 42(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act number 12 of 2008. Count 13, we've charged Mamusu Masakoi of abuse of office contrary to Section 42(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act number 12 of 2008. Count 14, we've charged Mamusu Masakoi of abuse of office contrary to Section 42(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act number 12 of 2008. In count 15, we have charged Mamusu Masakoi of abuse of office contrary to Section 42(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act 2008. That brings the indictment so far profiled against those who bear the greatest responsibility for the improper utilization of donation made by the Chinese of rice to the people of Sierra Leone through the government of Sierra Leone. We've charged these 5 people as being the ones who took the decision and facilitated the carrying out of this activity. This indictment has been taken to court and filed. We expect the judiciary to allocate a date for the trial. Before the end of the day, we will know the date on which this matter will come up for hearing. And once that is done, it is now left for us to prove our case in the court of law as fairly and to our best of our ability, and for the judiciary to be capable of carrying out its mandate of ensuring that we make corruption a very high risk and a low return venture. That is the formula in the new direction for winning the fight against corruption. Corruption is risky. If you engage in it, you are likely to face this kind of fate. And of course, we'll make it a low return venture because we'll make sure you do not enjoy the proceeds of the corruption, either by recovering it from you at the end of the day, and to also make sure that you are fined so that your pecuniary interest is attacked. We are grateful to the government of Sierra Leone, particularly His Excellency the President of Sierra Leone, who has given us the free hand to carry out our mandate as set out in Section 7 of the Anti-Corruption Act. He's a president who does not interfere in anti-corruption work. He was able to relieve the minister and all the persons I have named, apart from Zainab, from their positions to enable us to carry out the investigation so that they do not remain in office and influence the investigation. I think in Africa that is a good example coming from His Excellency the President. And if we continue this way as a country, we would certainly reposition ourselves on a firm footing for accountability and transparency in public service. We are now relying on the judiciary to do its part fairly but well. We believe that the judiciary needs to understand that corruption is a national emergency, just as Corona is. And we are looking forward to the judges to be able to look at corruption cases in light of modern trend in dealing with corruption cases. We have been facing the problem where some judges, there are many very good judges who are looking at corruption cases. Justice Al-Hadi, for example, is doing very well, doing her best, trying to make corruption a very high risk and low return venture. Madam Cosmotina Jarrett, these are the new ones who have come in, bringing new ideas and philosophies to the fight against corruption. Mr. Justice Isse, another one in the High Court, doing extremely well. But we have been challenged by judges sticking to classical ideologies, for want of a better word to describe it. And they have a microscope looking for the smallest of doubts that can exist as the ingenuity of defense counsel can bring up, so as to acquit people who are charged with corruption offenses. The world has moved away from that. The jurisprudence has moved away from that. When you are dealing with corruption against corruption offenses, anything against DPP is a guidance. If you say that any doubt that anybody can raise, you are going to discharge accused persons, we are not going to succeed to make corruption a high risk and a low return venture. We are not expecting judges to convict innocent people. But technicalities do not have a way to override the justice for the people of Sierra Leone in courts of law. Therefore, we are looking forward to continue working with the judiciary to ensure that we make corruption prosecution better, but also for us to understand that this is the time where we have to move away from classical ways to take on the fight against corruption as a national concern, as we are taking on the fight against Corona. It is only if we do that that we can ensure the future of generations unborn, but also to secure our own futures as we are now citizens living. Sierra Leone was not born cursed, it was born blessed. It is only through our collective efforts that we can change the story of this country. We thank this president for his support. We thank his entire cabinet, ministers and executive for their support. We leave it now to justice to have his way. I will pause here and give you time to ask questions.
Okay, Iroyeri, that's not the commissioner of Anti-Corruption Commission, Francis Bain Kaifala. Make I read again the last sentence, the last paragraph from the Judiciary of Sierra Leone. You hear all waiting in don't talk. You don't hear everything, right? Okay, that one day na be on the 31st of March. The 31st of March, 2020. Okay, this one, na today, the 16th of July, 2020. On Thursday, the 16th of July, 2020, Alpha Usman Timbo, Emily Kadiatu Gogra, Charles T. Kamanda, Mamusu Masakoi, and Zainab Binta Kamara were discharged of all counts by the Honorable Miss Justice Cosmotina Jarrett J. on account of the prosecution offering no evidence against all accused persons. With all waiting, the commissioner tell we. Let's go with this case because they say evidence nobody. So all waiting he explained to we. Even to that my way he say they meet, they change the bag of the rice, pull them from the Chinese bag and put her inside other bag. Even himself, evidence not there against them. But at the end, even this judge, we passed this verdict for to weigh this case. It be also name I'm saying one part the good one them, even though he say it just a coming. The Honorable Miss Justice Cosmotina Jarrett. In name am UBA, we call in name. Saying one of the good one them, we come. Well, if one of the good one themselves think say, you're not able, because in the cry foul say, And then can look for small reason, no more, a small thing, don't escalate the case. Well, this particular case, after all in explanation, Usai he be afraid, say make the case no waka, now then the case end up waka. With all waiting in tell we, then yagi waiting Judiciary of Sierra Leone tell we. Make we count Usman Tolly, make he get the platform, make he help we break down waiting in think about this particular situation. Yes, Usman Tolly, you get the platform, sir.
Okay, first I would thank the Anti-Corruption Commissioner, Ben Kefala, for that comprehensive press briefing. And the first thing first, I want just put on a table quickly. Corruption a very sensitive topic. So I would advise for we all always learn for accommodate each other's opinion whenever we deliberate on the issues here, when we debate on the issues here, because it's quite sensitive with a lot of mixed feelings as we not only listen to the press briefing from the Anti-Corruption Commissioner boss. This case, you get a lot of mixed feelings. There are a lot of questions then we get for ask. And a lot of people already don't sense that. AAA, as you say, 49,000 bags of rice, weighing at 50 kilograms is a lot. It's a lot. And this now rice weight and mean for give the school stem for the school feeding program. You make a very good observation where Alec, where the judge will preside over the case, where now Miss Justice Cosmotina Jarrett, now one of the judges them, where the Anti-Corruption Commission now actually praised as one of the best judges them at the High Court and at the High Court for judge anti-corruption cases then. So we therefore be very, very be careful with that. But before they come to the issues then, now look at when they don't indict then 5 people here. That is the Minister of Labor, Alpha O. Timbo, the Deputy Minister of Education, Winner Emily Kogra, the Permanent Secretary for Basic and Senior Secondary School, Winner Charles T. Commander, and the 2 other one them. The ACC been set up an investigation before then they take this case go court. And just one gather evidence and listen to the witnesses then before then take this case go court. And some of the basic findings, we say the case rest. I will let we listen to this very carefully so that we will be able to interpret the case with merit. The basic findings, then say primarily that the distribution and supply chain have been problematic. In other words, the way how they distribute this rice, the way how they're supposed to distribute them, not to so then distribute them. That was one of the basic findings. Yeah? And I get a lot of questions for ask around that system. I mean the distribution and supply chain. Yeah, I get a question about that. Yeah, because the judge himself know they have to explain or not get the summary of the verdict of what really happened. You know, but we therefore critically think and analyze based on findings where the ACC commissioner, because of the evidence and the witnesses and they use for pursue the matter go court. Then one. And the other important finding also, you will listen to the commissioner. He talks the rest they don't mean for Kerango na private school, but then Kerango also not in private schools then. That is also important. Yeah? He said they don't mean for Kerangona private schools. It's only for government schools and government-assisted schools. But then Kerangona them private schools then. And those are the two basic things then, because all the other counts then rest on this. Believe me. And the other one where I also forget to mention is about the procedural method. What does this mean? The procedure where the ACC commissioner where the 5 people are willing convict, especially that of the Minister of Education, where then Timbo, they said the procedure we take for share this right, for distribute this right, and not follow the correct procedure. So those are the key issues here. All other counts them, 15 count them, all rest on these issues, on these 3 basic issues. 1, the procedural method. 2, the distribution and supply chain. And 3, in terms of some of the schools them. Some of the schools them, some of the schools that were then put on the list, they say the school and they know they exist. And that the private schools them, they'll not be included in the list. So those are their findings. Some of the evidence where ACC actually been come up with, I think some of their own evidence, because I don't see, they say the woman for the government when Zana Binta Kamara, then catch they repackage the rice. That is to say, they move the rice from the original package to another package, which itself constitutes fraud. That is the basic thing. Okay. Now let's speak to the issues. There's a lot of mixed feelings here. Yeah? 1, and very important. Originally, this rice, we also understand this. I just want to be objective here by looking at both the pros and the cons. I guess I'll be very objective here. Remember, from the commissioner in your submission, he said, this was not for the school feeding program they mean them for. They mean them, they send them for agricultural purpose, for the agricultural sector. So meaning, away kind of the country now, then you have a change due to some deliberations upon deliberations, then decide, say, let them give this rest for them picking them for nutritional reasons. So they give this rest. In other words, quickly, not remind myself, possibly there were no laid down procedures. Possibly, these are just assumptions. Possibly there were no laid down procedures how to distribute this rice. It could be one of the factors. Because if there are no clear procedures, no clear line of how to distribute this rice, that can be problematic. Could be problematic, sorry. So we have to look at them very carefully, but I will talk more on that. Yeah? And much more objectively, it's interesting that none of the 5 people were then indicted. None of the 5 people not found guilty. All of them were set free. For all of the 15 counts them. At least one self-notice for all. That is very serious. Yeah? At least if 1 or 2 counts themselves, therefore come up, at least, we'll get some breathing space. But all of them. And more interestingly, yeah, very, very important. No evidence, absolutely no evidence for convicting people here. Yeah? And listen to the commissioner, anti-corruption commissioner boss. He said, then get dozens of evidence. And remember, this this man now a lawyer, a barrister. Yeah? So you know what's in evidence. You know how to collect evidence. Yeah? From this, and remember also the magistrate where he preside over this case. In your press briefing, he praised him as one of the best judges then for preside over anti-corruption cases. This is the woman who acquits all the people, and 5 people are on all 15 counts them we then Keruna court. Yeah? So think about those only no evidence, absolutely. That is very crucial. Well, arguably, we will say the ACC commissioner, he don't do his job. We will argue that with it, to be honest with you. Because if first intervene, investigate, and discharge, go court, which is just what he's supposed to do. That is just what he's supposed to do by intervening, investigating, and gathering evidence together with all the witnesses. We say, you're going to all the places that we decided to stupid rise and charge the case go court. You go argue, say, you don't do your role, you don't do your part. Again, you will also argue, say the judiciary don't begin demonstrate. Again, this is another case. Inside the judiciary, don't demonstrate some independence based on the fact that the government no influence. Because if them one influencer the case, then for no influencer. But again, you can turn around and argue. Say them people are where they convict, not part of the government. Maybe they don't want to let them ridicule the government. So then use that as an opportunity for show justice to the people at the expense of the fight against corruption. In other words, what are they trying for talk here is this. It could be a game. People and they argue. Say, well, law we charge them people will court later, we will release them, for let the people and believe say no more. Even we all people will charge them go court for fight against corruption. Later, they left all of them. Because looking at all the evidence, all the 15 count, nothing absolutely, they just left the all go. What about even the 5th person? Where they repackage the rice? Is that not sufficient evidence for charge the person? You can argue. You can argue on that basis. Yeah? That is why I say there's a lot of mixed feelings about this case. Yeah? You say no evidence. What about that woman where they repackage? A good number of the people believe, say, when they change the package of something, it illustrates some form of fraud. But all that, I think the magistrate, who has been highly praised by the Anti-Corruption Commissioner for presiding over anti-corruption cases, acquits all the 5 people of all the count charges them. Now, for conclude this, it's a very difficult case. Very difficult case with a lot of mixed feelings. And I believe a lot of people will table this attacking each other. But the most important point is maybe because, the rise was not meant for, I don't see the judgment where, I just do my own analysis, me not a legal luminary, but I do my own analysis based on what he means, see and hear. The fact that this rise now donation from the Chinese government, I think the most important factor here is there is no operation manual or say now this will follow, because remember say this now maybe not just something will just come out of nowhere, so they don't get steps say, well, that's so for do now so if for do, now this proceeding for follow. So himself, maybe when they get the rest, they don't know what if for do, then take this rest, then do what they get for do, because there is no set procedure of how for distribute this rice. Maybe the judge look at on that basis day. But again, you go ask. Yeah? This rest, because people when they ask the question, who said the rest don't go? But remember, I say, then distribute the rice. The only thing is, now the way how to distribute them, now not proper. Some of them, you go to the private schools them, when other than the list. And some of them, then give to schools them, when not exist. That is what the commissioner said. So the rest actually don't go to some misappropriation. We're not to the intended purpose that. But is there an operation manual? We have been designed. We say if okay go stick, what you wanna talk? How for distribute them? What in the supply chain? Those are the questions then we'll get for ask. For conclude, it's a difficult one. The Anti-Corruption Commissioner, he don't do his job. Whether it is justly done or not is another matter for discourse. Whether the magistrate, as he said, there is no evidence based on lack of operation manual, that is again another matter. I will stop here. I'll give chance to other panelists then. Let themselves to light into this. Thank you very much, Triple A. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Usman Toli. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Make we carry with Dr. Aisatu Kakejalo, waiting in get for we today. Yes, doctor, you get the platform.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. And sorry I wasn't here for 2 days. Just trying to take care of me. But today I just want to talk on the effectiveness of wearing a face mask. Based on, like a new study we just come today. This study was done in May of 2020, like 2 stylists, and this is not from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. So if anybody interested in article, it's up there. So this it happened at Springfield, Missouri, in May 2020. Then that 2 stylists will be symptomatic of COVID-19 and be positive for COVID-19. They become exposed to, they have clients that are about 139 clients, but the thing here is the reason why I think this study is very important. 2 hairstylists, both positive, both of them have symptoms, and then the client they wouldn't take care of them, spend at least 15 minutes with each customer them wouldn't take care of. So, but while they spend that time with the customers them, then wear face masks. It can be either a surgical mask, or a cloth face mask. They make sure to then wear an effectively, and throughout this time, then we monitor them so they then get the contact tracers or monitor all the ones that will be exposed to them to their stylists and also for 14 days. And then a month later, they did an interview for just like they give them a phone number to call every day just for update the people who do the study for safety and preventing any symptoms. So to conclude the whole story, even though then 2 people have been positive, but because then they wear masks and then send them back, they wear masks for them, they take care of them, even though they spend about 15 minutes, and we know now how you spread coronavirus, now when you spend longer period of time in a closed area, knowing that like a hair salon or a barber shop, if the person wear mask, if you don't wear mask, a different story, but if you wear mask, if you don't wear mask, then definitely, the person positive, you don't put yourself at risk, you go contract or transmit the virus. So, none of them, 139 clients, they have to not become positive. And why they so important for people to understand this, that, if we wear the face mask and we wear it effectively, we really try for mitigate, which means to reduce the spread of COVID-19. So we really want for like people and they adhere to mask wearing, whether, if you don't have like a area where, social distancing not permissible because of the environment where you be, you ensure you wear a mask, definitely you cut back on the spread of COVID-19. The other thing we are look at is like, the vaccine, the experimental COVID-19 vaccine, we then initially start on March 16th of 2019. So then they call them mRNA 1273. This vaccine is developed by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease here in the U.S. and also Moderna. So now then they work on this. This is now like a phase 1 trial right now in an investigational vaccine. They recruit about 45 healthy adults, 18 to 55 years old, for a 6-week period. We're at the first phase of the vaccine trial. So some of them get 2 vaccines, 28 days apart. So about 15 of them get 2 vaccines, while the other one, they all get just 1 vaccine. So waiting this vaccination from March 15 to April, they don't report, all the people that will get the vaccine don't report any serious side effects or adverse effects. Waiting a report, now fatigue, headache, chills, myalgia, will be feeling like the body hurt, or pain at the injection site. And this is not like a typical symptoms that we experience if you get the flu vaccine, right? So, and as we don't only talk about, phases of trials when you start any investigational drugs, you get the phase 1, 2, 3, and, sometimes you go into 4. So they therefore use this reported symptoms there now for going into the phase 2 clinical trial. We may start in, actually begin May of this year, and then the trial actually they end this month. So we hope for, and now then we can launch phase 3 of the trial. So I think there's some good news here that, people when they do well, the only people who actually experience your systemic adverse effect are the one that will receive 2 vaccines. But even though they report that, the 2 vaccines, it is showing more, effective, like it is kind of gives them stronger immunity towards, the COVID-19 virus. So we look forward to that, and let's see what will happen. In terms of the topic today, really, I think we hope to, before they count anybody, like say, we charge this person with this and this, I think they need to do their homework. This is I think within the ACC still for do, they didn't do their homework correctly. And that's why today, they see what they go on in terms of what they also, discharge all 15 counts, charges against them. Fine. And then maybe this was not even the case, right? If you've done enough research before you discharge anybody with a crime, you want to get enough evidence so that when you present them, would look bad. And this is what we're saying, that you should not be looking at just the one that way you want for attack. For me, I'm not thinking attack, excuse me, that's not the word. But like the one way you feel things, like you're not neutral, right? You need to be across the board. You don't pick and choose on who anti-corruption needs to investigate. You need to investigate everybody. Everybody. I think that's where the problem is. And that's why I still feel the anti-corruption with me still getting an incomplete. So I hope they, will go back, and look into what's going on in terms of how it is charged different people them with the Corruption Act before it bring up to the public, the general public. So we do it and see. And for me, I will let Andy do it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aisato. Thank you, ma.
Thank you.
Make we count Usfend, make we hear waiting in get for we. Yes, Usfend, you get the platform, sir.
Hello, Triple A. Thank you very much for the media platform. And hello to everyone who they are to listen to it. It actually take a lot of knowledge for let somebody be able to understand exactly based on within this outcome of this findings here don't come. But you always look at in different things. As I want to be the notes, you get parliamentary act, then you get act of parliament. Then, but the act of parliament decide that we don't try to change this ACC as well. We don't know. And I've seen an Act 9 and they look into. But when we don't change this, we don't implement this here, then 2000, then they adjust them back 2008. Then I wouldn't count back, then count 2019, then adjust them back, wouldn't amend, and finally, and that amendment then are in place, wouldn't they work with this case so now? But the amendment wouldn't get amended, and now most of the time, when you look at the section, they wouldn't try for amend. Now for increased penalty, then are the aim that this particular present regime. The aim wouldn't be try for amend all length section there with the under this Act 9 of public funds and management of public funds and so on. Now based on how to increase the penalty. All right, that's now the parliamentary, then the Act of Parliament. But the Parliamentary Act it can now, wherein people in times they can interfere in between, or some then go either add for you more, if you say you don't forget more, or some you might be lucky for slip off the net. Because the act in the day was since that the law, and this will follow, all agree. The parliament then vote, all say aye, where they say nay, they then put and done. And when you look at the section, I think that from section 36, I didn't begin the change now of that previous act, the act where we don't put 2008 where they amend them second amendment. So they can now take, I think up to about, I don't know how many sections they change, but it can now 36, you get 37, section 37, section 62, section 76, then go 78, then jump 85, 89, then jump, they just get in between. All that they try for do, now any area where they say, now it lapse, will lapse small. If in a word, then they change them. If in a word we no strength enough, then they change them for give them a good a verb, action word. So that now the area they didn't do. So the aim was to increase the penalties when they inflict on anybody when they find out guilty of this misappropriation of funds with the government they put, or public funds with people in Arenion. So you can't say, well, this was going on, which is what everybody been the aim. But you can't see now when individual then they go act, it's different sometimes then they get side where they look. Now they laws are different because Motamanyo law is different from what God they put. The human law and I think working very, very flexible in terms of make. Now they bring lawyer then come. Now they bring other individuals that they come. If they bring human rights then come inside. So all those bodies them. So then they always get side. Inside the law they take this. Then they turn out to another side. Say, well, I law look at from this angle. And if you get the people who they look out from another angle, past the other angle, always then they win a case. But the unfortunate thing, the angle where they view and then they look at a holistic way. Now bring them all together, all filter out to the thing. But the act was there. There was evidence. There was the reality of things go wrong. There was the evidence of even the food they can go up to bond. Society they say the man, the principal, they take I go give people in a church for them go pray for them. Immediately listen and you for you use. Other side they can go, they say you can go for go do campaign for something else. But they were the final people that were at the end. Then you don't come back and the one they win at the givers. They say don't free. So who is going to be blamed? Who side that rest come out? But because of the law, it always flexible, human law. If you not look into human law, then person get good heart. We say, let we just look. They can lawyer not to law who for play with. We they look at the country in progress one. We they look at for let we go able for go before. We not look because of somebody who will sabi. If we even don't retrieve some of the rights, but law we inflict something on them. If we don't even want to inflict something, okay, there are other things where they try for bring calm. Like what the president did there. Let them bring people like when they go do public order, public service them. Then they go do some work. So if you don't want to keep her inside confinement, but all those things come to the laws that what they lay at the table. If people like go argue, say there is a place where they go look, but the act was there that something was actually redirected for a wrong purpose. But because of evidence, everybody they claim unknowing. And then the one that what they know now, they're not able to prove documents for say this rest. Now this it document say he go sell her for let he go get money. So it comes to humanity. You see, mortal man, where I think and not all man was a bit Timnia tonight, but Timnia when they say mortal man, then they call her unique pets. Now two words them back in mean so. Then a mortal man where they na tongue. If you look what in our they mean back, as we say na civilization. I believe say mortal man they be there where they not be civilized. Some they may even live in a bush, the way they dress a different way. Now probably they specify the mortal man, then get that they two now then they say mortal man na tongue. That means other mortal man they be there will be there in a bush. What did that mean? A civilization that they try to distinguish say we and you na civilized people them because of who are them. We don't get far colonization. We don't get civilization from other areas that far-fetched, but the civilization we can get, na civilization where we turn into becoming manipulative for we able to get with your passionate ego. The land, we don't learn the book, that book we learn not to follow progress or around them. Now for let we find a way. If you look at the man's speech, there was a time when I interviewed these days, when I been hot seat, I even feel a bit worried for him. He came at the hot seat, he was a bit worried. They say, sit and relax. But why didn't they ask him how he managed can na this sit here? Because he been there over here, now in the column. He be the right article. All right, it was good. He's very eloquent. He gave very good adjective. And he gave very good speech. He talk about microscopic way what people would look into. He applaud even the two judges them. All right, he said and they use a microscopic. But me, I believe say this is not an ordinary microscope they get for use. They have to use electron microscope because they're not able to even see anything with all the microscope when they use for look for the smallest thing. So you see, he praised them. He gets a good speech. But he can't, that was waiting, that they call act of man in the act. You see? I mean human act, not to act of man, and a human act in the put so. Because, so let's say I just want for put up. So I don't want to go too far. All I try to say no more, we mortal man, if we're not able to look into certain things, then we'll be able to say these are things that were useful for Boku people. Let we emphasize, let we put the law, let we become stringent. If now somebody causes a problem, let them convict them at all costs. If we look to the law, then they change the law, then put section and they change the law, then when we after years back, they can't revert the law. The law, people that not going even understand them, that short period day, if a case don't just scan a table, then they do them based on their own way. So that one they are a very hard working man, as we say, no one a work in progress, but there are areas that way they still get for draw line. And like I know my office they get for draw line, wherein they get for delegate say if the ACC now they get for get complete of the law, or the law now they get for be part of the ACC. But if the ACC they independent as it is meant to be, our colonialists then we don't pull hand per way. At the time ago that them they sponsor them because of they not even allow the ACC them to act independently. When they begin to say that they're independent and then they begin to help them back, well, it's up to them. If they get for police all back, because they based on records of inventory. Now that people they want to escape go to not go so far for other things. Because other man they will go so far tomorrow, they say, well, because this case they are not get well, let me go one the case for other man they now. Then they say the act. So it not going to be an intermittent. They get for be continuous. We not going to say we want person not get. Oh well, the other man now because that case they are not able to forget and la go punish somebody and go no see no more miss the act. and that one they are the fear now. For say anybody with the next line, that person they will really suffer. That one they me the record. It will be somebody will be so, but let not be so because this case now you know like say they don't lose them. But any other case we can now, they want for sure the public say, well, would they do something? Because everybody will look in so would they free people alone, would they free, we don't free people, we don't free this. He will act and that poor victim then they are the fear. They not go become sufferers of a law wherein the other one they will do the bigger thing they left there because of evidence and the nature of the law, then go scot-free. Let God continue for help. We just get people who will edit the country. Thank you very much for giving the platform.
Thank you very much, Usman. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
For the one the way they ask about the yes, make I just remind we quick before I open the phone line. When I open the phone line, everybody go get 3 minutes for getting your own submission and tell me what you think about this particular discharge of this case. But before that, make I just remind we quick say on the 21st of May 2020, ACCB hand over 868 bags of 50 kilogram Chinese aid rice where they recover from China rice investigation to the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School Education for waiting they say for onward transfer and presentation to the World Food Program following the recovery of the rice during the just concluded investigation. This one what they did so now from May 18th. But on the 21st of May, now they hand over the 868 bags. Now 49,000 bags of rice. Waiting ACC able learn pa na 868 bags of rice. The 868 bags of rice were recovered in 3 different locations. 609 na Potloko district, 250 na Bo district, and 9 inside Freetown. And 9 no more they be able to get the. But Potloko district we get 609, and Bo we get 250, then Freetown na 9 no more, 9 them we get. So 868 bags. And they hand over to the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School Education. The ministry they hand over because they don't be able to forget. So we were they ask say, where the rest? The rest then tell we say then share them. They say then share. So because now Dan I may bring kind the case.
Hello?
Yes, sir, you there live on air. Your name and no side you call from.
I didn't attack it.
Yes, Patrick, what's your contribution?
I mean, this is simple. All the panelists, they don't say the right thing. The ACC, they don't, now some of the grade they will be given the last time. Now we don't begin the decision. We only see the whole grade and the grade they were supposed to give them. That means you may right. You don't see. That means they not get the concrete evidence they for let it prove, or they not say they get concrete evidence then, definitely. But if the judiciary don't decide for pull the case in a court, that means the Attorney General will just come, maybe hand inside. Who knows? Now they know what they do. Why not that the evidence they come outside, you see the evidence there, what's the case? No, I'm not. We see all the evidence, they're people with rest. Now that they say they think they're not serious. Let them be careful with their data. If they don't begin to take to ACC need for time. And who fresh say the one important thing is he said the next man when an anti-corruption they want to pull a strength back. We just debate the normal, let them know. So they watch them. Then another case the next man for proof to we say that they do good work. Those everything that they do, they don't blunder. They need for try final. If they're not get proof safe, then they go look for proof so that people are they're guilty of what they do. That's all I would say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Thank you, sir. Yes, caller, you live on here. Your name and who side you call from?
This is Mike. I call from Philadelphia.
Yes, Mike, you get 3 minutes awaiting a contribution.
I just want to tell Ben Kalfala he need for resign. He need for come on at that position there. Because in a disgrace to Salon, a complete disgrace to Salon. When Salon people and put their faith on you for help them, let Salon come up better. And you, they sit down. They see boku corruption they go on. Chief they go on, and they do nothing about it. A disgrace to Salon. Salon people they need for riot against you. Let them fire. You let come out. You need for come on at that position there because they do your job. And the same reason is what Salon know they go before. Man like that, what Salon people entrust they put before. For let them develop, let them help Salon, let Salon develop. And this man they let Salon people down. Corruption like that, they happen. They do nothing. Nothing, they do. How Salon will go before? Where they know it will fit that type of corruption they are? Now they destroy Salon. The people and the thief all the money, and they thief the food there. Everything what kind of Salon and the thief man. They'll put you in charge for they help block their hole they are. They do nothing. Nothing this man know they do. This man need for fire. They need for fire or you need for resign. And then they need the man help the country. How Mama Salon go better? How will go better? How Salon go improve? Me not see them. Not the only way that the only way this Salon for improve for fight corruption. And the people let them put in charge. No, they do nothing. Nothing. Man, your contribution.
Right, thank you very much, Mike. Thank you. Yes, caller, they live on your name and the call from.
Is it for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name is Israel. I'm speaking from London. Thank you, AAA, for this opportunity. I don't listen to you for a very long time.
You get 3 minutes.
I can type, I can send messages on the links, but sometimes you can make a comment on them. My take on this case is simple. For me, this is a simple case of theft. Ben Kalfala don't make a blunder. The whole thing is a theft case which should have been prosecuted through the Theft Act of Sierra Leone, which is the Larceny Act of 1816, through the CID and the Inspector General of Police. It is not a corruption case. And this is where Ben Kalfala go wrong. I don't criticize them several times on that. Before you get them item, you have go for try for change the law to drag things to himself. He has been trying to get a restitutive justice rather than sending people to jail for theft, for criminal offenses. In the try for get the money, they go present them back to the president, make big show, say, oh, he collect money for the government. A fine for collectors. But when thief man thief, now for put in a jail. I criticized him when he come with a post press release where he say he left that woman for local because nothing the direction. That part of the case is a simple. Any law student in criminal law, basic criminal law, no say that is under the Theft Act of the when we copy in Sierra Leone. That is the simple case of handling stolen goods. Then people and the way you say and carry the rice, go give them here and there. They were all handling stolen goods. You're not going to prove nothing except that if they handle the rest, you're not going to know so you get up. You know saying at 15, no so you own. How come 48,100 bags rest will disappear into thin air? How come? You know, side you say you get boku evidence, you make so much noise about the evidence we didn't get. So where are all these evidence we didn't get? For me, 15 counts will be discharged out of the courts by one judge. I mean, this is a simple case of theft, and I think he don't misroad. The ambition is too much for him. This job don't get too big for Ben Kalfala. I think if I begin the parking box small, let it take things home. Because I tell you what, it will end up like the former Attorney General Schwartz. If because I don't know watch them. Now grammar school boy and missionary grammar school boy are very sorry where I can see my own fellow agent when they mess up like this. He's a clever boy, he's a good lawyer, but he gets a little bit more to work on his experience. He bets too much of things where he cannot chew. If he chew, he not able to swallow. And I believe he get for looking to all that kind of attitude. He want to please everybody and left them when they win and invade them. I know I'm going to other talk. Let's stick to this particular topic today. But this is a total mess for the country. And the view where people don't get from outside, 48,100 bags missing. You only capture 800 and something. They the halala say, oh, they don't go hand over 800. I thought this myself from the beginning. I took him. You might have seen one or two of my posts. I told him plainly on that time, this is a pure case of larceny, and it's not a case of corruption. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you, sir. Yes, caller, you're live on air. Your name and who you call from?
Yeah, Triple A, Amina Omar from Los Angeles. Thank you very much. I want to talk about Corona, but since you give it 3 minutes, I'm not going to talk about Corona. You know, I disagree with the last caller. Me not a law professor, me not a lawyer. Come on. Now, state case. People that misappropriate things and we don't give them. Now, corruption. What in that is corruption defined in a very broad way. So I don't understand. Now, corruption. You know, the honorable minister then put that in my hands for distribute them for school feeding. If in take them, it give other people in with the assistant and the permanent secretary for put them in another way. We're not getting nothing for do with within the act of now corruption. Now corruption. Because I don't say this every day, every minute. The constitution needs to change. Until we begin to judges that we didn't vote for. Voted judges then. It happened now. You're going to go for 2-year term. After 2 years, the people don't vote for you again. Because then people are not syndicate. What's in Africa, especially Salon to be precise, like syndicate system. Even with the government, because this it'll go 2 ways. Because whether the government, Madabio, handy bandits, or we get judges then, we absolutely not care about the people of this country at all. You know, law will not take this. Not a murder case. Now, murder case that we will get one famous murder case to read in Los Angeles, O.J. Simpson again, where we want late famous lawyer Johnny Cochran going to court to distribute it. Well gloved them. He tell the judge say if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. Because the judge, the gloves that when the prosecution bring come, they're not fit in technicality. Or somebody draw blood because if the blood not reach or the way we they draw the blood sample technicality like then they go take somebody over there on a murder trial. Oh, no, it's not a murder case. Then people they give the honorable rest. We all know that. That being said, I know people know the dinner is host. In fact, if they said, what about the 800 bag? The 800 bag, that's enough evidence. The 800 bag with and retrain, that's not enough evidence. Because, well, if that is not evidence, who side they pull the rest and the Nkafala pull the rest up in the air, that's not evidence. When something disappears, if you money loss, you investigate somebody, $10 loss in your hand, then you go spend $5. Now the same person in hand, or you can get marked. That's not evidence. That 800 back not evidence. So I don't know what people they talk about. Not evidence. I don't understand what this judge they talk about. You know, this is not a technicality business. They don't the man don't talk and say, then catch lady where they change the background, the Chinese background, into another background. That's not evidence. I hope so not like the Kapala be the lie. Because if not to like the lie, instead of CID need for investigator. Because everything where he say during the presentation, we be the charge them people there. If you present them to and the judge says that's still not enough evidence, maybe instead of CID need for investigator. But other than that, it's not going to be enforced because these guys either they undermine this guy because of a syndicate system with the only partners alone, or we really need the enforce. Because we really feel say this now undermine and they undermine this guy. But let nobody not tell me say he not present a better case. We're not a lawyer, but I'm not stupid either. The guy presents a case. That's all.
Thank you very much, Umar. Yes, caller ID live on your name and who side you call from?
Yeah, this is Adama from New York.
Yes, Adama, you get 3 minutes, ma.
Okay. Like I always say on this show, all we have to do is let we educate our people then, down to the one that where they're in the streets, for say the next election where they come. We get for take them some of these people they're not for elect them. Okay. Because I understand for saying that the same people then. SNPP, APC, now the same people then. But I know between themselves, some people then they try to do something good concerning this country and our people then. But that bad ones then, they want whether they do bad thing and they're corrupt, they want where they're so corrupt. Let us educate people then. Election time, let us put them back there. Let me for say this now your cousin, this now you go to school together. It doesn't matter. So I think everybody I don't open now. Because this corruption in Sierra Leone, it don't really make that country don't go down. Okay. I mean, AAA, me since I was a child. Now the same thing over and again, me are sick and tired of it. So I hope young people that also they are sick and tired of this thing. Okay? Come on. How long we are going to do this? Huh? We are on the bottom ladder of everything. Not for say we poor, not for say we country poor. Okay, we have money. But what it is, everybody want to take for himself. So me young team what them put on the table today and this. Let we just educate our people then. Let we talk. We keep on talking. And I thank all of you. Okay, the panels there, everybody. Me not got much time for the talk because my schedule is too tight. Okay, but I listen and I hear everything AAA. So let we all talk. Next election, some of these bad ones then let we put in there. Thank you very much for giving me the platform.
Thank you very much, Adama. Thank you, ma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, caller ID live on air. Your name and who side you call from, please?
Hello, this is Janet Mathamusa. I call from the United Kingdom.
Yes, Janet, you get 3 minutes. How you want for help winner?
Well, I don't listen to few people talk about corruption and talk about theft and try to determine the difference between corruption and theft. I just want to say, if you go straight to what happened, let's just stick to the idea that the case then been through there, then threw the case out. And obviously then threw the case out, it just means to say they not get corroborative evidence we could point to the claim where the enforce make. You can get initial evidence, and then when you go deeper into the situation by way of investigation, you find out say you not get enough evidence to convict someone. And where there's lack of evidence, the biggest thing to do is to throw the case out. So about what you want to say.
Quick. You feel say
yes,
if the commissioner go get more evidence, he able to call this case back?
Well, yes. Yes. We don't see them before. We say they be throw case out because of lack of evidence. But we say get to new evidence. We go point to that person in conviction. Yes, it is likely, very likely. But in this situation, when we know we can't get on, I don't think say they go find that evidence. But anyway, I want to say just something very quickly because we ACC boss now a lawyer himself. And then you get the director of public prosecutions, when a lawyer as well, I think he's a lawyer, then go take case when they not see tangible evidence, we go point to a guilt. They take that case in a wash and go court. What in this they do? It undermine the ACC. It undermine the judiciary. So you begin to say to yourself, this is just a joke. This is a joke. I know say other callers are very frustrated in the sense that they believe say, evidence good day, but because of maybe connections here and there, or some kind of entanglement, and that word we don't learn recently. We will call this political entanglement. Maybe they just dismiss this case for safest. But on a serious note, Timbo, they don't destroy a reputation. They call an injury to reputation. Are we going to recover from this? I don't know. A loss in job for something we not do, then a reputation going to tatters. I think to say these are the kind of things that we ACC boss for try to avoid. If you not get enough evidence, do not. If I be left off, if I be suspend them and then investigation. Which what happens to him now? Is he going to ask for compensation? Because I think so. When they begin ask for heavy compensation from governments where they fail, for do their work. Maybe they will begin do their work before then jump on people. The law says it better for lay free, possibly innocent. That for punish somebody we're innocent. So going forward, this ACC boss, he's a friend of mine, but I hope he pays attention, make it to the political lens, put on one side, and use the legal lens in your office.
Before I let you
thank you very much.
Before I let you, this is not the first person. Yes. Remember Scope, the secretary to the president?
Yes, I know.
The same thing happened to her. A loss in job, and now they say he's not guilty, but there's no compensation. No any compensation.
Job other side.
So
but I think say in the year job other side, or you don't go back to a job. Yeah, I think you don't go back to a job.
We need for Cindy
I'm not sure
if you don't surface again.
Well,
okay, thank you.
That's what I was told, But anyway, yes, thank you so very much. Thank you.
Yes, caller, I did live on air. Your name and who side you call from?
Check with me.
Yes, ma.
Okay, I call from Tennessee. My name is Taffy, and my contribution today is I appreciate how the collaboration is coming to Sierra Leone about judgment. That's a new thing we appreciate to all Sierra Leoneans, whether ESLPP, whether you APC or stranger in Sierra Leone, because where there is no judgment, you not get to be a good game play in that field. The only thing we at the way Sister must say, no wall educate people in Sierra Leone to tell them what thing to do, what not to do, when to do, what and where and how, which is a very important message. But to educate someone is one thing. The person to understand you is two things. And to give you a chance to be educated by you is another thing. The politician then, as soon as they don't in that stage of politics, they don't they up there, they say everything is okay. Trust me, people always they measure say how people they're not educated. The same thing when they hold that statement about telling people how they're not educated, the same way then they treat the people, then they say, law will just do it to get for do. We mustn't today to them directly, then we God choose. Because even if the Jama chooses, you not choose by God, you not get for only position. And to own a position is one thing, and to deliver, to be committed, and know how to do the job, where to do it, when and how, it's another thing. This race don't come, they don't misplace and don't do what they then get for doing. Until the law don't come inside, we just appreciate the people, the people who bring the idea. This thing they talk every day, and they mention with president. When you be a leader, it got for really take you time. Because any mistake we make, now you the lead at that particular time, all the blames will come to you. I always they measure this. Anytime I talk, I they measure this. Anytime I talk, I they measure this thing. I know they give somebody projects, waiting at one of government right now, where you give projects to someone, make sure you have another follower. Where this stuff gonna go? Who did then give this stuff? Who received it? How to give it to the people? But this is a big blunder. But yes, would they have like what should they do? So if it's some of them, then they listen, then they educate from there, then they take some of our nonsense, they put it to their senses to make some sense. If it will make a sense for them, you know, all of them they listen, wouldn't they listen? Just don't care. And I heard one parable what tell the government they made them not take fisherman they and put them at the sea, made them not empty the sea because a fisherman have nothing to render to the sea unless to rip up the sea and leave the sea empty. We they cry about putting young people in the position, and this guy is a very young guy that will do something that young people will look up to. It's a very young guy. So if this thing, they don't begin to put the battle to young people and then they try to use it the way it's not supposed to be used. How we go stand the elder people there? We'll not go able. And let them not misuse this particular government last say so, because some people then they are poor to God, they just did it because of them they just did it because of the day. But they know they do what they get for do. You as a minister know they get 10 girlfriend, you know we're able to satisfy them. I'm good looking, I'm young, I have this position, I can lie down with any woman, or excuse me for language. You know, it's very disturbing, very disgraceful, very shameful. That's all I get for today. Thank you very much for giving me the platform. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Safi. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yes, call ID live on air. You name and who you call from?
Me?
Yes, sir.
This is Ibrahim from Maryland. How do you doing, Pop?
Not bad. You get 3 minutes, Ibrahim. What you get for me?
Thank you for giving me the platform. This is not a big disgrace to the country. The one thing we say, this race, they disappear like needle. Another country, they, you know, Kalfala, they try their best, but this job is big for them because they need to get a chance. If you get all the evidence provided at the court, then go throw out this case like we throw. So all the 15 counter use, and you will get one count away in the all them people on there. This don't show we say them people are they saying the fed corruption, but the people are holding at the young government. Nothing no they against them. Then they go after the poor teachers then. People are really busy in the struggle for fend and living. So small thing they involve in corruption. Look what they do there. They own the big allergy then they involve in corruption like this. Where would they see they say they get all the evidence. This case go now court, then throw out. This is not a big shame. Trust me, if I didn't have Belkan in position, you know, say we've been there na United Kingdom we get job. Trust me, if you want to do a job, you not get chance. Resign, go back na job side even there. Yes, the president to apply, we've been the couch, young man there, na cabinet, get a job. We've been happy. We say, okay, this is not the time. This what we young man there, we can't do something at the country because the old people there. You don't try for destroy that country. So if you try for incorporate young people, they will happy. But if this man they as young man like this, if they try for doing job, then they get a chance to say connection. Because that's why I take this to. This is not connection business. Now I make this thing, they say, you know, find them guilty. And trust me, if they never go tomorrow, other person will not connect na the power part government, then say that person they convict her. You know, you get for raise some mixed feelings. You know, we don't see some cases that would appear na the ACC where people are they na the present government, you know, convict them. But other people we not they na the new cabinet or government, then they convict them. This is not a shame. So I'm not going for talk about it. Too shameful. Let God save the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kola. Thank you, Ibrahim. Yes, Kola, I did live on here. You name and who side you call from?
This is not Francis. I call from Hawaii.
Yes, Francis, you get 3 minutes. What's your contribution?
Well, being a just short contribution, I guess. You know, it's too sad when they appoint somebody, they find out one thing at the end of the day, then go discharge, they say what they should do. Simply, me and money, I can always tell you this. See that country. Anti-corruption. Ben Kefala, me, I don't feel say them guy they're stupid enough, speaking for the language. Forget that all evidences, they submit them. At the end of the day, they go discharge the post, they say they don't get no evidence. All that thing with that country in politics. Yeah, I can tell you politics, all anything they do, when they don't say, who say for a real man, say the party will prosecute them. No! That guy, you don't fully know for go prosecute that man, they say, no, they find them guilty. It's not possible. It's not possible at all. It's not possible. When a game that they play for say, this now man, no prosecute them, at the end of the day, they go discharge them to let the opposition fight. Now, I tell you, anti-corruption, anybody who will prosecute that country, they find them guilty. Now, politics, they play with them.
All right, thank you very much, Francis. Thank you, sir. Make we read some of the text then. Now, Facebook, some of the text, we're not going to read all. And some of the text, then we speak directly. We not assume, because a lot of people they assume, say, they sabi how that yes, they waka. That one day, we left on our Facebook. I'm Kebi Conte say from the one. You know, say Alpha Timbo no go ever do that kind thing day. He say me could trust him. He say Alpha Timbo, na man we very humble and very respectable man like Alpha Timbo. Okay, the humble and respectable man we can be content to talk about. And reputation don't be tainted right now. No loss in job. Let's see how that goes. Because I make her ask, say, if anti-corruption feels say they don't go find the real evidence if they come, if they're still able to press charges and continue the case. And say, kind of, sort of, well, let's see how this game they play. I will say because somebody can't catch me, say, now for the moment no more. But it look like, say, anti-corruption boss now left this case here so. Ready for pursue back the appeal. They pursue back care go. But time we listen now 20 minutes we take with the listen. All waiting he say. Eh? Also 20 minutes. We listen now all. Tell say make the Virginian president ready. He said because now in the next. Because they say outside and whap you, not today they allow. Outside they don't know self na they go allow. Somebody say na just not say, then just they hope say the vexation from this case. The next person who anti-corruption the drag. Then I'll be say the kind blow and they release by that one day. Eh? For prove a point say, okay. But I want me to take time again, look. I want to say me could take time look on waiting the Commissioner Francis Ben Kefala be tell we where if they gain closing saying they hope say the Judiciary of Sierra Leone go do the needful. But again, waiting the Judiciary, they say because in say Italic said and they take a microscope for look for small thing as they find that small thing there. And it's already the case. But this one, all 5 the people to the one way anti-corruption then tell we, say they meet them and they change the bag from WFP bag, Chinese rice bag, to other kind bag. Then the Judiciary of Sierra Leone say, the justice, Constantina, he say, evidence no dey. Well, we dey wait for make we know say press release must come out from ACC. We dey wait for them press release. Waiting them for because you know say they no came back down so. We dey wait for waiting them for can't tell me. Or they not get anything for say. Yeah? Because this game right now for fight against corruption as alone. I see just now when we start the program, people in the right now Facebook saying I made them be give them low percentage, that will be the rate. You don't watch the video where anti-corruption self-pull. They have a video. You don't watch that video there? Where the anti-corruption media team say then what can I treat and talk to different people them, waiting and think about the commissioner in 2 years in office. Why make una hold in at the diaspora then una get low numbers? Whilst the people them waiting at the streets na freeton. Then game go watch the video. Make you not say just on a triple talk. But after I watched that video there, I was like, what? So I began to ask with him, say, you know what thing? Let us find out. So we're on it. They don't pull Leone, and everything is video perfect. They don't see what in una they see. So make us send we own team around. Make we talk to people them. Make we hear waiting then go see. So we on camera. They don't talk to ACC then camera and then talk good. Maybe not the same thing and then go talk to Sarah Network camera. Okay, I think the phone line don't close now. And myself, we are done for today. We are done for today, Naya. Sequence the way I say, then people and then go ask. Well. So waiting the young people and go say, Waiting the young people and go say, when we send we on camera. Israel say, he said Tripoli, say the judge no say they no get evidence. He said that the prosecution now no offer evidence. Yes, we don't read the certificate of discharge Naya. I don't know if you know be the will be the read them, but we definitely don't read Naya. Israel. We don't read them. For Israeli own sake, make I just read the last paragraph there back. I'll just read the last paragraph back. It says on Thursday, the 16th day of July 2020, Alpha Usman Timbo, Emile Kadiatu Gogra, Charles T. Kamanda, Mamusu Masakoi, and Zainab Binta Kamara, then discharged them of all counts by the Honorable Miss Justice Cosmotina Jarrett J. On account, when me say, wait to make it discharge them, say the prosecution no give no evidence against all the accused persons them. So because evidence not there, the judge threw away the case. Filippo say when I asked the question just now about the people in the diaspora where it's Francis Bengefala, he said because the diaspora, then all man at the diaspora is in a one-sided people them. He said, but Francis Bengefala don't do a good job for Mama Salone. All man at diaspora one-sided. Michael, we don't call the callers them. I think we only get one caller, and then they will not able to call them. I think they call from, is it Ireland? We're not able to call them. That's the only caller we not call Pantideum program. But people then take break. Kebi County still team up and word. Alpha Timbo, man of integrity. He said, then Sabi would have chief the rest. Into your Francis Benkefala, the commissioner will they explain? Eh? So the prosecution, I know case so. Helen McDavis, they ask if Salon gets compensation. Salon, compensation. Let's just rewind quick. Now just take Alaji Chief Samsumana in your case. Where ECOWAS say them for pay. Then be pay. Okay. So, make we left on that side. But anyway, we'll lock to the own program. Then we wait for waiting anti-corruption. Geffo can tell we. Sam Bobo Leon Bangura. They respond. Jeroy say we not full. Exactly. That make the phone line then today. Yang yang. We only observe a minute of silence. A minute of silence. Now they observe. Yang yang today. No waiting. Make we left here. But we'll be back tomorrow.